Good morning, children. Who is there? Who is there online? Amasha. Good morning, Amasha. Who is here? Sandali Chamika, Yasangi. Yasangi, ගොඩක් දවසකට පස්සේ ඔය අතුරුදාන් වෙලා හිටියේ. Yasangi, Johan. Good morning, Yasangi. Good morning, Johan. Yasangi මොකෝ පේන්නේ හිටියේ නැත්තේ පහුගිය දවස් ටිකේ. කට්ටිය ඉන්නවනේ අපි චුට්ට පටන් ගමු. Right? Last day we started range of a quadratic function. එහෙම නේද topic එක? Range of a quadratic function. නේද? Range of a quadratic function. Okay. I watch the class later. Okay, Yasangi. Range of a quadratic function. We did some examples, and we have taken as examples only standard form quadratic functions, right? Vimuthu, network. Given a function, quadratic function, x star plus bx plus c, fx equals to x star plus bx plus c. Only this type of functions we have taken. What you call a quadratic function. And we learned how to find the maximum or minimum value. From all levels also, you have some idea. Sometimes it can be a minimum for the graph, or it can be a maximum. Boleh panggil එක ඇහෙන් පේන විදිහට නේ ඇඳලා ඇහෙන් පේන විදිහට බලලා you found the minimum or maximum point. Minimum point, what is the value of x for which the function is minimum, why not is the minimum. Here, what is the value of x for which the function is maximum, why not is the maximum value. But without the diagram, without finding it visually, here we learned how to find it algebraically. So this answer is more reliable and more exact. It is an exact answer, right? Right. I gave some examples and we learned two methods. And I told you to do the homework questions, problems in both the methods. බලමු ඔයගොල්ලන්ගේ උත්තර හරි වැරදි බලමු නේද ටක් ගාලා හැමෝම ගානක් හදලා නේද තියෙන්නේ අපි හරි වැරදි බලමු මම ඉක්මනින් කරගෙන යන්න I don't think that I have to explain the things again. Just see if you have made some mistake or not. Answers for homework questions. Number 1, fx equals 3x square plus 2x minus 13. Method 1, by completing square. So to complete the square, you take 3 out. 3 out, which will give x square plus 2 over 3 minus 1. 2 over 3x minus 1. Correct? Then completing the square, x square plus half of this, that will be 1 over 3x minus 1. Then complete the square for this square, 1 over x squared, 1 over x squared plus 1 over 3 squared minus 1 over 9 minus 1. Okay? X plus 1 over 3x. Meaning number 1 is completing square. The idea no. Okay, directly x plus 1 over 3x squared minus 1 over 9 minus 1. That's what you get completing the square. Simplifying further, x plus 1 over 3 squared minus 9 minus 1 minus 10 over 9. Expanding the outer brackets, you get 3 times x plus 1 over 3 squared minus 10 over 3. You should simplify it up to this. And then you argue for any x, for any real x, this part is or with 3 even. 3 times x plus 1 over 3 squared, the whole thing is greater than or equal to 0. Therefore, fx is greater than or equal to minus 10 over 3. So we conclude that. So this implies, fx has a minimum. Minimum. Fx minimum is minus 10 over 3, and at fx is minimum when this part is equal to 0. At x equals minus 1 over 3. This is the answer. Complete answer by method 1. Then method 2, delta method, our new method. Method 2, you take this as y. Let y be equal to 3x squared plus 2x minus 3. Take this to the other side to make it a quadratic equation. Example, plus 2x minus 3 minus y. I'll take minus 1 out. That will give 3 plus y equals 0. So you have the quadratic equation, right? 13 is a constant term, yes. The constant is 30. In the question, I have given 13, not 3. Minus 13. This is not 3, you are saying it's 13. And it's type 13 kila. 13? I'm 13 karana. Minus 13, isn't it? Minus 13. Okay, I'll change it. Then it will be minus 13 over 3. Minus 13 over 3. 39, 40. Minus 40 over 9. Now it looks like minus 40 over 3. Then another one. Minus 40 over 3 is the minimum. So minimum is minus 40 over 3 at x equals minus 1 over 3. හරි නේද? දැන් ප්‍රශ්නයක් නැහැ නේද? හරි නේ? Right, now here also I have made it to minus 13. So minus minus 10, 13 plus y equals 0. Right? Now our argument, we want to find what happens to y as x is real. Right? This is a quadratic equation of x for real x to be real. We know that delta is greater than or equal to 0. Delta is b squared minus 4ac. C is minus 13 plus y. That will make it plus in the middle. So I'll write plus 13 plus y 13 plus y greater than or equal to 0. Right? So can't you divide everything by 4? Make it much simpler. I'll give 1 plus 13 into t, 39 plus 3y is greater than or equal to 0. So this gives y is greater than or equal to minus 40 over 3. Exactly the same result as before. So y has a minimum. Y has a minimum. Y minimum is this. Therefore, this implies y has a minimum. In the first method, the number inside the bracket should be taken back. Then hadne then awla ne. Right. So this implies y has a minimum. Y minimum is this minus 40 over 3. Right? We want to find the value of x for which y is minimum. So by 1, then by 1 you get x equals, if you want to find x from this quadratic equation, then you are applying the formula x equals minus b plus or minus root of delta divided by 2a. But what happens to delta as y is maximum or minimum? Maximum or minimum y delta here equal to 0, delta is equal to 0, right? This part is equal to 0. Delta is equal to 0 when y is minimum. Therefore, x is equal to just minus b over 2a. In this, I'll do minus b, minus 2 over 2a. A is 3, that is minus 1 over 3. And get the same answer as before. You get the same answer. Hari අඩු පාඩු තියෙනවා හදාගන්න ළමයි. වැරදි තියෙනවා. මම ටිකක් කරලා දෙන්නම්. උත්තරේ හරිද ළමයි හැමෝගෙම? මිස්ටේක් එකක් කරගත්තේ නැත්නම් වෙන්න දෙයක් නැහැ. මේ උත්තරේ හරිද විමුතු? කවුද ඉන්නේ? සඳලි දුලක්ෂ මදුෂාන් මන් හරි කියවනේ කවුද වශන්ද නේද කිව්වේ? හරිද කට උත්තරේ? Correct. No problem. So shall I go to the next question then? Can I go to the second? So the second is x equals minus x squared plus 5x minus 9. Right? And first method is by completing square. Method 1. To complete the square, better we take, we have to take minus 1 now. That will give x square minus 5x plus 9. Now complete the square. Minus x minus 5 over 2 square minus 25 over 4 plus 9. So finally it will give x minus 5 over 2 square 36 plus 36 minus 25, that will be plus 11 over 4. Finally, expanding the outer bracket, minus x minus 5 over 2 squared minus 11 over 4. This is what you get complete in the square. Now our argument. Now our argument without this minus 1 in front of x minus 5 over 2 square is greater than or equal to 0. Always for any x this is greater than or equal to 0. But what happens when there is minus 1 outside? In this with minus 1 outside, minus of x minus 5 over 2 square. Without minus, it will be greater than or equal to 0. But with minus, that will be always returned to the other side. Less than or equal to 0. Right? Therefore, that implies fx is less than or equal to minus 11 over 4 for any real x. Right. So this says fx has a fx can be equal to this minus 11 over 4, but can it exceed? Fx has to be less than or equal to minus 11 over 4. Can it assume any value bigger than this? No, this is the maximum value that it can assume. It can't assume any value bigger than minus 11 over 4. So minus 11 over 4 is the maximum of fx, right? Therefore, fx has a maximum. Fx has the maximum. Fx maximum is minus 11 over 4. It is maximum when this part is equal to 0, right? When this part is equal to 0, that is when x is equal to 5 over 2, and x equals 5 over 2. So that is the complete answer by method 1. Then go to method 2. Method 2. can say y be equal to this minus x squared plus 5x minus 9. Now I want to make it a quadratic equation. The best thing, I'll take all the terms to other side. It's always easy to keep x square term, the coefficient of x square, a positive number. Make a minus x squared. Best thing is you take terms to the other side. Then it is a quadratic equation. X squared minus 5x plus 9 plus y equals 0. The best thing to do to get the quadratic equation in this form. Right, then our argument. This is a quadratic equation of x to be real. For real x, the requirement is delta is greater than or equal to 0. Delta b square minus 4ac 9 plus y greater than or equal to 0. You get like 25 minus 36 minus 4y is greater than or equal to 0. 4y will go to the other side and will be less than or equal to 25 minus 36, that will be minus 11. So you get y is less than or equal to minus 11 over 4. Exactly the same result as before. Same result as before. So from this you can say the same explanation. Y has a maximum and the maximum value is minus 11 over 4. Okay. So that implies y has a maximum. So y max is minus 11 over 4. Now we need to find x for which y is maximum. It's from this quadratic equation. By 1, x is given by minus b plus or minus root of delta over 2a. So what happens to delta as y is maximum? As y is maximum, this delta will be equal to 0. But delta is equal to 0 when y is maximum. Therefore, when y is maximum, x is given by just minus b over 2a minus b plus 5 over 2a over 2. The same answer as before. Hari, apa part ini nak ada nama? Mak kodak kelada. So shall we go to the third? අපි තව ටික දවසක් බලමු ඉතින් ක්ලාස් එක මෙහෙම කරගෙන යන්න නේ. තව සතියක් විතර යනකොට බලමුකෝ රටේ තත්ත්වේ කොයි පැත්තට හැරෙයිද කියලා. ඔය ලොකු ප්‍රශ්නයක් නැත්නම් අපි ඔන්ලයින් ක්ලාසස් නවත්තලා ළමයින්ව ගෙන්න ගන්නවා. හරි. තව සතියක් දෙකක් බලමු මොකද වෙන්නේ කියලා. මම තීරණය කරන් හිටියේ මේ සතිය වෙනකොට ඔක්කොම වගේ ඔන්ලයින් ක්ලාසස් නවත්තන්න. දැන් ඉතින් ආයි පොඩි සිටුේෂන් එකක් තියෙනවා නේ. අපි එහෙම බලලා ළමයි පස්සේ තීරණ ගනිමු. දැනට ඔයගොල්ලෝ කම්මැලි නැතුව වැඩ කරගෙන යන්න ඕන. කම්මැලි වෙන්න එපා. ස්කෝලක් නැති නිසා කරන්න වැඩකුත් නැති නිසා මේ කම්මැලි වෙන්න ඉඩ තියෙනවා. ගණන් හදන්න ඕන වැඩ කරගෙන යන්න. අපි මුලින් කරපු පාඩම් බලා ගන්න. ඒ ගණන් ටික ආයි හදන්න. ඒක හොඳයි. එහෙම කරන එක. And third and last, fx equals minus 2x squared minus 2x squared plus 7x plus 2 plus 2 I think. Okay. Minus 2x squared plus 7x plus 2. Okay. So this time you have to take minus 2 out. Method 1 will be x square minus 7 over 2x minus 1. Okay. So completing the square, x minus 7 over 4 square minus 49 over 16 minus 1. So that will give x minus 7 over 4 squared squared minus 16. 100 be 65 over 16. Then finally you can expand the outer bracket, that will give minus 2 x minus 7 over 4 squared plus 65 over, when you multiply by 2, that will give plus 65 over 8. You should come to this. More. Karnela memang lihatin gini kan, minus 2x squared plus 7x plus 2. Then you should come to this. Then the argument is the same as before. You say in this whole thing with minus 2. Without minus 2, it will be greater than or equal to 0 always. But with minus here, it turns to the opposite side. Less than or equal to 0 for all real x. Therefore, fx will be less than or equal to 65 over 8. So that says fx has a maximum. So it implies fx has the maximum fx max. Fx max is 65 over 8. Then this part is equal to 0. When this part is equal to 0, that is when x is equal to 7 over 4. That's the complete answer. By method 1. Okay, everybody. No problem. Right. Then go to the second method. Method 2 by the delta method. So we start by letting say y equal to minus 2x squared plus 7x plus 2. I take to this side for convenience, right? 2x squared minus 7x minus 2 plus y. So plus y minus 2 equals 0. This is the quadratic equation. So our argument, a quadratic equation, then x to be real. The requirement is delta is greater than or equal to 0. Delta minus 7 squared, that will be plus 49 minus 4, a is 2, c is y minus 2, greater than or equal to 0. So that gives like 49 minus 8y plus 16 greater than or equal to 0. मैं यहाँ पे चलें क्या मैंने y is less than or equal to 49 plus 16 is 65 over 65 over 8. Yeah, the same result as this. Okay, we get a put on. That implies y has a maximum. So y max is 65 over 8. Right? Then you have to find the value of x. We'll find it from this. By 1, x is given by this quadratic equation minus b plus or minus root of delta over 2a. When this y is maximum, we know that delta is equal to 0, right? But delta is equal to 0 when y is maximum. So x is given by minus b over 2a. Minus b over 2a minus b is plus 7. 2 times a is 2. At x equals 7 over 4. Again, this same result as before. Okay? අටපාඩු තියලා හදාගන්න ළමයි. එච්චර නේද homework දුන්නේ. හරිද? ඉතින් ඉතින් ගියාම සමාන. නේද? ඔය ඒකවල හදාගන්න ඕනේ. Hi, now I'm going to give another question. These are like examples, right? These are not like, these are examples. I'll give some problem, it's more theory. More theory, formally explaining this. මේක ඔකට තනියම try එකක් දාන්නකෝ බලන්න. It's something you are expected to know, right? Remember, තරුවක් දාලා ලියාගන්න. I gave it as a question. I'll give it as a question, but it's more theory, right? තරු දාලා කියන්නේ මොනවාද? ඒවා අමතක වෙලා තිබුණොත් විභාගයට ගියාම තරු පේන්න ගන්නවා. හරිද? තරු දාලා ලියන ඒවා මතක තියාගන්න. Express fx in the form fx equals p times x plus q squared plus r, right? Deduce that if a is greater than 0 and delta is less than 0, then fx is greater than 0 for all x belongs R, right? Hence find the set of values of lambda for which particularly which fx equals lambda plus 2 x squared plus lambda x plus 4 is positive 4 for all x belongs to R. Okay, ලියාගෙන try එකක් දාන්නකො මම ඔයගොල්ලන්ට වෙලා දෙන්න. start. You did the first part, everybody? Okay. You have to express this in this form. So last step remind you at once. You have to get this in this form. What's the key? In one word? Yeah? This in this form. What does that remind you? This quadratic function you have to get in this form. That's something very familiar. Yeah, complete in square says Timutu. Yes, it's correct. Once you complete the square, you get it in this form. So, answer fx equals ax square plus bx plus c. So you take x out, that'll give you x square plus b over x plus c over a. Then it is for this pair. For this pair, you complete the square. A times, take this pair, that'll give x plus half of this, that is b over 2a, square of that, minus square of this, b square over 4a squared, plus c over a. And take a shape on it. We want to get it in this form, right? X plus b over 2a squared. Then you need it plus here. You need it plus here. You have to give it as plus, right? I'll write plus here and take the common denominator 4a squared. You have to write this first because it's plus here. 4ac minus b squared. Now, finally, we have to give it in this form. We got it in that form, but we have to explain. We got it in this form, so it's in the form p times x plus q squared plus r, right? Where what is p? What is p? What is q? What is r? P is a, yeah. What is p is a? What is q? Q is yeah, b over 2a, and finally r is 4ac minus b squared over 4a squared. ඊට පස්සේ ටිකක් කල්පනා කරලා බලන්නකෝ තාම මොනවද තියෙන්නේ the next part පොඩ්ඩක් හිතලා බලන්න යමු. P is A, yeah. Q is BO2A, we want to correct. And R is OAC minus B squared over 4A squared. Over type කරන්න අමාරුයි නේ මේක. හරි. මම ඔයගොල්ලෝ අමාරුයි දාන්න කැමති නැති නිසා තමයි අහුවේ නැත්තේ ඔයගොල්ලෝ මේ උත්තරේ. මම මුලින්ම ඒකයි. It's not easy for you to type this. Okay, then go to the next part. if A is greater than 0 and delta is less than 0, A is greater than 0 and that B square minus 4AC is less than 0, you have to show that Fx is always positive. So whatever x, real x, Fx is never 0, is never negative under these two conditions. A is positive and delta is less than 0. Right? එක මම කියලා දෙන්න වෙන්නේ. බලා ගන්නකො එනම් හැමෝම. I'll explain it. Right. First, look at this. First, look at this. If you are given b square minus 4ac is less than 0, less than 0, then what about this part? The numerator, 4ac minus b square, what happens to this thing? 4ac minus b square. If this is less than 0, what happens to this? 4ac minus b square will be greater than 0, the opposite sign, right? Greater than 0. And then this thing, 4ac minus b square will be greater than 0, right? And you divide it, so this part is greater than 0, this part is positive, you are dividing it by 4a squared. 4a squared. What happens? 4 squared? Definitely a square multiplied by 4 will be definitely, it is definitely positive. A square can never be negative, it's not equal to 0 even. Coefficient of x square, a is never 0, so a square is never negative, so multiplied by 4, this is definitely positive, right? So this is also positive. 4 squared is positive, therefore this whole thing, what about this whole thing? 4ac minus b squared over 4 squared. Whole thing is definitely positive. The numerator is positive, the denominator is positive, it's definitely positive. Okay? And what about this part? So this part is always positive. What about this? This is a constant, right? That constant is always positive. This part is a variable. As x varies, this gives different values. But x plus bo2a squared. What about this? Always greater than or equal to 0. This part is always greater than or equal to 0. Whatever your real x. Also, x plus b over 2a squared. This part is greater than or equal to 0 for all real x. So this part is greater than or equal to 0. This part is positive. You add a positive number. Then what about the whole thing? Inside square brackets, this whole thing, it has to be greater than, this whole thing now is definitely greater than 0. Now no equal, right? This part is greater than or equal to 0, correct? Correct, Dulaksha. This part is greater than or equal to 0 and you add a positive number, so whole thing inside the square bracket should be greater than 0, right? Therefore the whole thing x plus b over 2a squared plus 4ac minus b squared over 4a squared. The whole thing is greater than 0. This whole thing is greater than 0. Further, you are multiplying by a. Given a is positive. A is positive, right? Also, a is greater than 0. When you multiply this whole thing by a, okay? This whole thing is positive. You multiply by a is positive. Then what happens to the whole thing? That will be again definitely positive. So that is again positive. A into the whole thing x plus b over 2a squared plus 4ac minus b squared over 4a squared is greater than 0, and this is nothing but this is fx. So that implies fx is greater than 0 for all real x, right? So under the conditions b square minus 4 if b square minus 4 is less than 0 and a is greater than 0, this function, this quadratic function is always positive. It cannot be negative, it cannot be equal to 0. It always taking positive values, right? It's taking positive values only, right? It's a very important result, right? ඔක තේරුණාද හැමෝටම? ප්‍රශ්න නැහැ නේ? මතක තියාගන්නත් ඕනේ. Sometimes they ask to explain this. Sometimes without explanation they give good questions. You are not asked to explain, but you'll have to use it. Okay, ලියාගන්නකෝ එන. Then you can try the next part. After this, you go to the next part. ඔක තේරුණා කළාම හැමෝටම මේ බලන් ඉන්න අයට මෙතන ඉන්න අයට නම් තේරුණා කියනවා. කවුද ඉන්නේ? අමාෂා, තව කවුද? වසන්ත ඉන්නවා, යසංගී. Okay, සඳලි. තේරුණා නේද? හරි. තේරුණා වගේම චුට්ටක් මතක තියාගන්න ඕනේ. හරි. මම දෙනවා පාස් පේපර්ස් ගණන් අද හෝම්වර්ක් වලට. මේකත් පාවිච්චි වෙයි ආ. මේක මම ඊට වඩා ලස්සනට එක්ස්ප්ලেইন කරන්නම් පස්සේ some other way, right? This is algebraically. I'll explain it graphically also later on. Later on, maybe today, right? Today maybe we will be able to do so. පුළුවන් වෙයි. අදම මේක පෙන්නන්නත් තව විදිහකට. You can try the next part. You have the key now. The given function is fx equals lambda plus 2 x squared plus lambda x plus 4. Alright? So this is all, this to be positive, always positive. What is the requirement? As we have seen, a is greater than 0 and always for this to be always positive is greater than 0 and b square minus 4ac is less than 0. These are the requirements. Fx to be for the requirement fx be greater than 0 for all x. Requirement is greater than 0 and that is by first part. B square minus 4ac is less than 0. You have to solve this and find lambda under these conditions. Correct hand? Inequality zone and all, right? Yes, A is greater than 0. A is lambda plus 2. Lambda plus 2 is greater than 0. This gives lambda has to be greater than minus 2. Then b square minus 4 is less than 0. B square is lambda square minus 4 is this and c less than 0. Simplified, you get lambda squared minus 16 lambda minus 32. මේ factors නෑ තියෙනවද? Factors නෑනේ. Factors නැත්නම් so there is no other option. You will have to complete the square and to solve this inequation. No factors in this. So lambda minus 8. Complete the square to solve this inequation. Square minus 64 minus 32 is less than 0. Lambda minus 8 squared is less than 96. This is what you get. මේ වගේ වෙලාවට ලේසියෙන් කරගන්න මම ඕගොල්ලන්ට දේවල් උගන්වලා ඇති පොඩි පොඩි ටූල්ස් දීලා ඇති මතකද මම ගන්නකො රූල් එකක් තියෙනවා x squared is less than a squared. If x squared is less than a squared, then x should lie between minus a and plus a. Between these two, x is between minus a and plus a. Right? On the other hand, if x then inequalities balwana me uganala tiya x square is greater than x square, then x will lie on either side. Here or here. X will be less than minus a or x will be greater than a. එතන ගන්න පුළුවන් එක නේද? First rule. X square is less than a square. Then x is between minus a and plus a. Inequalities බලා ගන්න කිව්වා පරක් පස්සේ ළඟදී පන්තියට ආපු අයටත් මේවා ඕනේ නෝ බැලුවද ඒක? So lambda minus 8 stays between negative root of this and positive root of this. 96 කියන්නේ මේ 16 into 6 right? 16 into 6 maintain 4 root 6 හරිද ළමයි? It is 16 into 6, therefore minus 4 root 6 plus 4 root 6. එතකොට එනවා lambda is between 8 minus 4 root 6 and 8 plus 4 root 6. මේ conditions දෙකටම හරියන්න ඕනේ. This says lambda should be greater than minus 2. This says lambda should be in between 8 minus 4 root 6 and 8 plus 4 root 6. And that finally we have to find the set of x satisfying both the conditions. And this and this, right? මේ දෙකටම හරියන lambda අපි ළඟට හොයන්න ඕනේ. Okay, then let's solve this. These two, lambda is greater than minus 2. Better we show it in real number line. Minus 2 greater than minus 2 means right of that. At the same time, it should be between these two. 2 plus 4 root 6. අපි බලන්න ඕන කොයි හරියද මේ වැටෙන්නේ කියලා. Between two limits 4 root 6. Root 6 වලට කීයද බලන්න ළඟින් යන්න. 2.4. වැඩි කළ බලන්න 2.4. වැඩි කරාම ඉන්නේ 2.4 කියන්නේ 5.96. 24 වර්ගය කීයද? 5.76. 25 squared is 625. So 2.5 got thought when you square 2.5 that will give 6.25. Look ready. Up on root 6 ne 2.4 got thought then 176 or 96 balance 2.24 era 24 वर्ग RCA RCA होता है अनु है नहीं 24 square RCA ने 500 आता है नहीं 576 24 squared is 576 එතකොට 576 25 squared කියන්නේ 625 so root 6 is like exactly in the middle IC නේ IC තියෙන්නේ ওই දෙක හරි මැද වගේ නේ කොයි එක ගත්තත් එකයි අපි හැබැයි ගමු කොයි එකද ගන්නෙ ඉන්නේ it multiply by 4 also ගමු 2.5 ප්‍රශ්නයක් නැහැ කොයි එක ගත්තත් නේ 2.5 වගේ ගමුකෝ so that will give මේකට root 6 equals 2.5 approximately then multiplied by 4 it will be around 10 then 8 minus around 10 can it will be little smaller than 10 so if it is 10 that will give 8 minus 10 minus 2 so the minus 2 නෙවෙයි ඊට වඩා චුට්ටක් අඩුයි නේ minus 1.89 මොන හරි එන එකක් ඒකට මේක චුට්ටක් ළඟින් වැටෙනවා 8 minus 4 root 6 this is just below minus 2 අන්න තේරුණා නේද it's around 1.8 to 1.9 ඒ වගේ ගන්නක් නේ හරි 1.8 වගේ මේක ගත්තා 1.8 වගේ negative 1.8 just little right of that and then 8 plus 4 root 6 ඒක ඕන දැනක දාන්න ඒක එන්නේ එතකොට around 14 this is around 14 I mean make it around 10 plus 4 around 13 point something this one is 13 point something close to 14 so this is between these two now මේ දෙකම හරියන්න කොහෙද තියෙනවද lambda to satisfy this and this as well දෙකම හරියන්න මේ ටික ගන්න වෙන්නේ right therefore this is the set of x for lambda 8 minus 4 root 6 and that's an 8 plus me 8 plus make around 18 17 18 make it 17 8 plus 4 root 6 this will be around 18 17 point something so this is the answer finally if lambda stays in this interval then this function is always positive whatever the value of x the function value will be always positive. 2.4 is closer, much closer. We move to say here. 2.4 ගමු. හරිනම් 2.45 වගේ ඉන්න ඕන. minus 1.79 lambda between 17.9. This is okay. Minus 1.79 can be close to that, but around 17.9. 1.79 the 17.9. It has to be around 17.9. This side. Neither. This should be around 17.9. Close to 18. Yes, 17.9. Yes, yes. හැබැයි මෙහෙම තියෙන එක වඩා හොඳ ඩෙසිමල් වලින් තියෙනවට වඩා. හරි මෙහෙම තියෙනවා. Why we don't take minus 2 for lambda? මේ දෙකටම ගැලපෙන්න ඕන ළමයි. Lambda has to be greater than minus 2. At the same time, it has to be greater than 8 minus 4 root 6. Yes, you see in this, minus 2 is somewhere here. Minus 2 is somewhere there. 8 minus 4 root 6 is somewhat bigger than that, right of that. So lambda has to satisfy both the requirements, both the conditions. මේ දෙකටම හරියන්න නම් you can't take lambda is greater than minus 2. දෙකටම ගැලපෙන්න නම් lambda has to be greater than 8 minus 4 root 6. As you said, it's around, somebody said, how can we move to say it's around minus 1.76. This is bigger than right of minus 2. That's the reason. Method now, when you take the intersection of these two, the common set. හරි නේද? අනිත් පැත්ත එහෙම කොන්දේසියක් නැහැ. You can go up to this. Because this goes to infinity. From this side, the common set ends at this point. On left, the common set ends at this point. It doesn't go to minus 2. The common values. Okay. We want the intersection of these two, the common set of these two. This says lambda is greater than minus 2. This says lambda is greater than, say, somewhere around minus 1.79. ඔය දෙකටම හරියන්න නම් මේකනේ ගන්න ඕනේ නේද? බඩයි ගන්න. මාන්න අරගෙන ඉච්චාගම. Right. Now, we don't take the range between -2 to yes. Nikan හිතන්නකෝ මෙහෙම හිතන්නකෝ once you say x is between 3 and 9, the other says and the other says x is between say 5 and 11. What is the common set? Satisfying both the conditions and connected by and. Make up set වෙනවනේ make up set වෙනවනේ. What is the answer? X is greater than 3 and less than 9 and x is greater than 5 and less than 11. What is the answer? What is the set of x for this? Ulang handala බලන්න. Intervals කියන පාඩමෙන් මම මේව ගන්නලා ඇති. ඇඳලා එහෙම ගන්න. බලන්නකෝ අය. Answer is 5 to 9. I think හරි ඒ වගේ දෙයක් මම තමයි කරේ. This is 3 to 9. The other is 5 to 5 is somewhere here and 5 to 11. So the common set is from 5 to 9. X is greater than 5 and less than 9. ඒ වගේ වැඩක් මම අතනක් කරේ නේද? තේරෙනවද? Okay. Now let's see the graphs of quadratic functions. Right, to draw the graph of the main shapes, the main possible shapes are possibilities. Sorry, the curve of consider the graph of in this we consider the graph of y equals fx, y equals ax square plus bx plus c. This graph, right? What are the possibilities? Over then dakka calculation solving. Number 1, if a is greater than 0, මොකද වෙන්නේ graph එකට? A is positive. Once you complete the square and do all the computations, you will get, if A is positive, that will give us, what is the difference between this and this? Then අපි ගණන් හැදුවේ A is positive. Positive means you get a yes minimum. You get a minimum. If you turn upside, y has a minimum. If A is less than 0, then y has a maximum. Y has a maximum, right? So next we are going to see where the graph meets x-axis. මේ දෙක තේරුණානේ මම ඔලෙල් මන්ත්‍රි දාලා තියෙනවා නේ. Next we want to see where the graph meets x-axis. The curve meets x-axis. It is x-intercepts. We are going to find x-intercepts of the graph. To find OX-intercepts of the graph. To find OX-intercepts, you set y equals, to find where the graph meets x-axis. Those are the x values for which, when it meets x-axis, for which y is 0. You set y at 0. So that is x square plus bx plus c equals 0. Y equals 0. So you get x square plus bx plus c equals 0. So you solve this quadratic equation, you will get the points where you will get the values where the curve meets x-axis. Again, all elements. But when you solve this, now we know that there are three possibilities. What are they? You are trying to find the roots of this. The roots means the values where it meets x-axis. There are several possibilities. What are they? If this is our lesson, if delta is greater than 0, you get two real distinct points. That means the curve meets x-axis at two distinct points. If delta is greater than 0, two real distinct roots, say alpha and beta, two real distinct roots alpha and beta, so the curve meets the x-axis at 2 points alpha and beta. Fair another at 2 points. If delta is equal to 0, what happens? You get just one real root or two real roots coincidence. Two real, you can exciting coincidence roots. The curve meets x-axis at only 1 point. කොහොමද ඒක වෙන්නේ? එක තැනක විතරක් කපාගෙන යන්නේ කොහොමද? මේ කපාගෙන යන තැන් දෙකකදී. ඕක එක තැනකදී වෙන්න නම් මොකද වෙන්නේ? Yeah. If there's only one real root where it meets x-axis, that means that point has to be the maximum point or the minimum point. නැත්තම් දෙකක් තියෙන්නේ බෑ. කපාගෙන උඩට ගියොත් ආයෙ කපාගෙන යටට එන්න ඕන. කපාගෙන යටට ගියොත් ආයෙ කපාගෙන උඩට එන්න ඕන. එහෙම වෙන්නේ නැතුව එක තැනකදී විතරක් හම්බ වෙන්න ඕන. It has to be the maximum or the minimum, that the curve touches axis, not cut the x-axis. It doesn't cut the x-axis like this. Instead, it touches the x-axis. Okay? It touches the x-axis like this, so maybe the other way around. This is a double root. A double root, the curve at alpha, the curve touches OX-axis at alpha, right? If delta is less than 0, what happens? No real roots. If delta is less than 0, no real roots for the quadratic equation. Then what about the points? X-intercepts. No real root. What happens? You are trying to find the points at which the curve meets x-axis. If delta is less than 0, module roots එහෙනම් කොහෙද හම්බෙන්නේ? අපි මේ හම්බ වෙන තැන යවන්නේ මොකද වෙන්නේ? That means it doesn't meet the x-axis. The curve doesn't meet the x-axis. එහෙනම් මොකද වෙන්න ඕනේ? How can it be? The curve doesn't meet x-axis. මේක වෙන්න පුළුවන් කොහොමද ළමයි? Doesn't meet x-axis. Entirely, yeah, කවුද කියන්නේ? It's correct. Amasha, yes, correct, Amasha. It has to be entirely above x-axis or entirely below the x-axis. ඔය දෙකෙන් එකක් වෙන්න ඕනේ. Correct. It has to be entirely above the x-axis or entirely below the x-axis. So two things we consider. If A is positive, you get a minimum. If A is negative, you get a maximum. If delta is greater than 0, it meets the curve meets x-axis at 2 points. If delta is equal to 0, it just touches the x-axis at a single point. If delta is less than 0, it doesn't meet the x-axis. It is entirely above or entirely below the x-axis. ඔය ටික තේරුණානේ? ඔය ටික ලියා ගන්න ඊට පස්සේ ඔක්කොම එකතු කරලා අපි බලමු graph එක වෙන්න පුළුවන් විදිහ. හරි? හැමෝටම තේරුණාද ළමයි? ඔය කියපු ටික? Got that? The two cases we are considering. Okay. Harga lamai? Ya kata kamu. Done, everybody? Are? So there are altogether 6 possibilities, right? So what are the 6 possibilities? If A is positive, that's a minimum, right? A is positive, number one, and at the same time, if delta is also positive, A is positive and delta is positive. Common in on a graph. A is positive, there is a minimum. A is positive, there is a minimum. Yes, minimum. Delta is greater than 0. So it means the x-axis at 2 points. So name alpha beta. Right? This is the first. So we can explain it a bit more. So when if x is alpha or beta, y is equal to 0. When x equals alpha or x equals beta. In between, y is If x is between alpha and beta, y is between alpha and beta, y will be 0 x-axis. It is negative. Y is less than 0 when x is between alpha and beta. On either side, x is less than alpha, left of alpha or right of beta, left of alpha or right of beta, then y will be greater than 0. We have ඔක්කොම දේවල් තියෙනවා. Y is equal to 0, y is less than 0, y is greater than 0, everything is there, right? In case 1, 2 is positive and delta is equal to 0. එතකොට කොහොමද එන්නේ? A is positive, then it's a A is positive, then it's a A is positive. It has to be a minimum. Delta is equal to 0, then it should touch the x-axis at the root. With the minimum, it touches the x-axis at alpha. So y is 0 if x equals alpha. Everywhere else, elsewhere, y is greater than 0. It's never negative, right? Y is greater than 0 if x is not equal to alpha. It is only greater than 0 and equal to 0. No less than 0, right? In case 3, what is case 3? Case 3 is the first possibility is A is greater than 0 and delta is less than 0. Yeah, මතක නැද්ද? A is greater than 0 and delta is less than 0. මතක් කරලා බලන්න. මීට කලින් හම්බෙන්නේ නැද්ද කොහෙවත්? මොකද වෙන්න ඕනේ? A is positive. It has to be a minimum. Delta is less than 0. It doesn't meet x-axis. So it has to be, it doesn't meet x-axis, but there is a minimum also. දෙකටම හරියන්න නම් කොහෙද තියෙන්නේ? It has to be entirely above x-axis. මතකද අපි දැන් ඉස්සෙල්ලා කිව්වේ? ඕකනේ අර ගාන හැදුවේ. That's what we have proven. If A is positive and delta is less than 0, then y is greater than 0 for all x belongs to R. A is positive and delta is negative, then always y is positive. The function is always positive. Then ඉස්සෙල්ලාට වඩා තේරෙනවද මේ කියපු දේ? ඉස්සෙල්ලා මොකද කියපු දේ? දැන් ඊට වැඩි තේරෙනවා. Right. And then we come, so that's the three cases for A is positive. Then A is negative and delta is negative. Delta is greater than 0. කොහොමද වෙන්න පුළුවන්? A is less than 0. It has to be A is less than 0. So maximum. Delta is greater than 0. That means it meets x-axis at 2 points, alpha, beta. I may use this so y equals 0 for x equals alpha or x equals beta. In between, y is positive. X is between alpha and beta. On either side, less than alpha or greater than beta, y is negative. මෙතන ඔක්කොම දේවල් තියෙනවා කවුරුද? ඊළඟට part 5 මොකද වෙන්නේ? Fifth possibility. A is less than 0 and delta is equal to 0. දැන් මොකද වෙන්න පුළුවන්? A is less than 0 and delta is equal to 0. කොහොමද වෙන්න පුළුවන්? is less than 0 means it's a maximum, right? Delta is equal to 0 means it's a maximum. Delta is equal to 0 means it touches the x-axis. So, it touches the x-axis at the maximum. So y equals 0 if x equals alpha. If x is not alpha, it's always negative. So it doesn't assume any positive value. And sixth and the last is less than 0 and delta is also less than 0. That's common known. It's a minimum, maximum, but entirely below the x-axis. Always negative. Y is less than 0 for all real x. ඔන්න වෙන්න පුළුවන් දේවල්. හරි. අපිට අද graph examples ටිකක් කරලා බලන්න වෙලා නැහැ. ඇඳලා. දැනට ওই ටික ලියන්න නම් අනිත් දවස් අපි example graphs ටිකක් අඳිමු. This is a general explanation, right? Specifically we see some examples. අපි අනිකාස එක්සාම්පල්ස් කරමු. අනිකාස එක්සාම්පල්ස් කරමු graph සම්දිමු. එහෙනම් අපි අදට උතනින් නවත්තමු. හරි තව තප්පර 20යි තියෙන්නේ. හරි හැමෝටම උත්සාහයි. ලබන සතියේත් මේ විදිහට කරමු. මොන හරි වෙනසක් තියෙනවා නම් මම ඔයගලන්ට මෙසේජ් එකක් දාන්නම්. හොඳයි නම එහෙනම් උත්සාහයි.